I have read 37 books, 14,422 pages since my summer OMR. Let's talk about it. Hey, I'm Shay and welcome back to my channel. How are you? How have you been? I'm so glad to see you here. I'm excited to hang out with you and talk about books because that's my favorite thing to do. So yeah, let's talk about some books. I think it would be super fun to start with some stats. So I tracked this on Storygraph. I basically just took the things that I can remember that I read since my summer OMR, put them into Storygraph in order to get some graphics and some like pie charts and things for you guys in case you're into that, in case you like data like I do. I haven't been tracking my reading this year. We talked about this a little bit in another video, but I just kind of was over Goodreads. I was over the pressure that I was putting on myself to hit some arbitrary reading goal for the year. So I just stopped tracking altogether. But now I want to tell y'all about what I'm reading, and it's hard when I haven't tracked. So if you have a favorite tracker, please leave it in the comments down below so that I know how I should be tracking my reading, where we can all follow each other and see what each other is reading and pick up the same things, because I would love to do that. Let's talk about some of the things that Storygraph told me before we hop into the actual books I read. So according to Storygraph, like I said, 37 books, 14,422 pages. In order of most books to least books, here are the moods that I read from the most. So adventurous, funny, emotional, lighthearted, tense, dark, mysterious, reflective, inspiring, and hopeful were my top moods. And then 16% of the books I read were less than 300 pages. 30% of the books I read were over 500 pages, but the majority of the books I read at 54% were between 300 and 499 pages. And then pacing is the last kind of graph that it gave me. And it said that 81% of the things that I read were medium paced, and then the other 19% was fast paced. So I tend to apparently like a medium paced read. So now I want to talk about what had happened, what happened during my reading this summer, because we started off on one trajectory and ended up somewhere completely different. So we have talked a lot about my summer OMR and like what things I was looking forward to and what things I really wanted to read. And I had a pretty good list. I felt like it was well rounded. It touched a lot of different genres. It touched a lot of authors that I really liked. I was going to have this really amazing full kind of summer of reading. And then I fell into what I am calling the TikTok trap. So I feel like this should be an infomercial. If you or a friend or a family member has fallen into the TikTok trap, you might be entitled to compensation. But anyway, so I fell into the TikTok trap. So let's talk about that a little bit before we hop in. So basically, I read a book that I really, really loved, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. And so I got on TikTok and I was like, what other books are like this book? And so it sent me kind of down a rabbit hole of romantasy, I guess, is kind of the genre that I got stuck in. However, it was recommending a lot of things that were very, very similar to each other, which makes sense. I was looking for like a similar recommendation to what I read. And so it makes sense that it would be like, these are a lot of things that are similar to one another. But I think my reading ended up so homogenous that I didn't know where one book ended and another began. A lot of what I read felt very similar to each other. And I wish I would have had some more variation in what I read. So for fall, I'm focusing more on listening to my gut, listening to my desires, the things that pique my interest, regardless of whether or not they're popular, regardless of if they've blown up or not. I think that they sound interesting, then leaning into that and reading that, because I didn't do that as much this summer. I kind of just followed a rabbit trail, one book after the other, of popular things in the genre that I was the most interested in. And so you will see that we have a lot of similar titles on here that got a lot of similar ratings. And so I feel like everything kind of congealed into this like 3-star pile. And so let's talk about it. I do have some outliers on both sides, but let's go in and talk about it. A little bit more housekeeping. I feel like there's so much housekeeping at the beginning of this. My rating system. I don't have like a very specific rating system. I have the things that stand out to me and what I'm looking for when I read a book. And I'll probably do a video towards the new year that kind of explains to you what I'm looking for, and so how I get to the rating based on if it met my expectations. But a lot of these ratings are related to vibes. So I feel like I took the Cawpile system from Book Roast and then like broke it down into, instead of like, how did this come together academically, I'm more looking at it as characters. Did I like their vibe? Setting. Did I like the vibe? Plot. Did I like the vibe? And so it's kind of a lot of vibe-based rating for these reads. And then for some reads that we have coming up, I did kind of dive a little more into the construction of the book, like how well I felt like the things were put together, more so than how I personally vibed with it. So I do that also. But during the summer, I think it's a lot of like light, easy reading for me. And it is a lot of these ratings are based on vibes alone. Here's what I read from the lowest rating to the highest rating. I didn't rate anything less than 2 stars. And for me, 2 stars does not mean I hated it. It just means that it didn't stand out to me. So 1 star means I can't think of anybody who would really appreciate this. It feels to me like it's just poorly put together. 2 star means it wasn't for me, but somebody would probably like it. And then moving up from there. So nothing was rated so low that I don't feel like anyone would like it, but I did rate some things low for me, things that I wouldn't read again. So my lowest rated book that I've read recently is Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. And it just wasn't for me. I think that there were a lot of like pieces of the plot that I liked. And I thought that there were decent ingredients that could have ended up in something that I really liked, but the characters were not developed in a way that felt believable to me. And it was something where I definitely was aware the whole time that I was reading. Like I didn't feel like I got lost in the world, didn't feel like I got lost in like the plot or anything like that. I do not feel like when I put it down, I wasn't like looking forward to the next time I wanted to pick it up. And so it might be for you, was not for me. Next was 2.5 stars. The only book that I rated 2.5 stars was Just Our Luck by Denise Williams. I am sad and a little disappointed. So 2.5 stars for me, that's just a half rating. Like of the 5 stars, you've acquired half of it, which means it was just literally okay. Like there was nothing crazy offensive about it. There was nothing crazy good about it. It was literally just middle of the road for me. Again, I really liked the idea of the plot behind this one. I didn't know anything about it going in. Blind readers unite, but I quickly found out in the first few pages that it had to do with a lottery winning situation, and it was a romance kind of based around that. And I thought, what a cool idea. Like I've never heard anything like this. I've never seen anybody do anything like this. This is going to be so much fun going through it. And I think it had a ton of potential, but in the end, it just kind of fell flat for me. The next things are, I rated 3 Things 2.75 stars. And I think that these books kind of fell victim to the TikTok trap. They were TikTok recommended for me. And I think that I read them in the midst of so many romanticides that these are just the ones that didn't stand out for me. And I am somebody who will pretty much finish a series no matter what. I have such a hard time DNFing anything. Even if I put something down for a little bit, I will almost always pick it up and go back to it. I just don't like to have incomplete reads. It's something that my friends, my husband talk to me about all the time, that they're like, please Shay, like life is too short to be reading books that you're not interested in. But truly, I will hardly ever DNF a series, much less a book, but this is a series that I did not finish. So I rated The Trial of the Sun Queen and The Rule of the Aurora King by Nisha J. Tooley, both 2.75 stars. It was good. I liked it. I thought it was fine. There were parts of it that I was really interested in and really invested in, especially in the first book. I think that there was a lot of potential. I love a almost like the Bachelor setting fantasy book. And I feel like there was some of that happening, and the trials and everything. I feel like all of those are ingredients that I really like. But at the end of the day, it felt kind of forgettable to me. And so I didn't continue with the series. I read those 2, but I feel like a lot of the action of it was kind of packed into the first book. And then where it was going after that felt predictable to me, and I just wasn't interested in it after the first 2. And coincidentally, I also rated Not Safe for Work by Nisha J. Tooley 2.75 stars. I am going to continue to read from her because it is always like so many diamonds in it that I'm like, oh, I like this. Oh, I like this. Oh, I like this. But it doesn't seem to come together for me the way that I wish that it would. So I'm going to continue to read from her. I'm going to hope that I find some more things that I really like by her. But so far, it just doesn't quite hit the mark for me. Next, we are going to talk about the things I rated 3 stars. There are quite a few in this category. Things I rated 3 stars flat would be The Wolf King by Lauren Pell Freeman. I liked it. I loved the beginning of this book. It was so good. It had so much promise, and I really, really liked the beginning of it. And we're going to talk about the second book in the series, the only 2 that are out right now. I also read that over the summer, and I really liked the beginning of this, but felt to me like the beginning overpromised and the end underdelivered. At the very beginning, I thought, oh, this could be a 5-star read. And then somewhere about a third of the way through, it kind of started to fall off for me. But it had such a strong beginning. And then we're going to talk about the second one, but it had such a strong ending as well. So I'm excited to continue the series. But this one landed at 3 stars. Next is Overruled by Lana Ferguson. I went into this thinking that this had vampires in it. I think that's because the last thing I read by her was The Fake Mate, and it had not vampires, and it had werewolves in it. So I thought this was going to have werewolves. It didn't. It was about lawyers. I don't know what I was thinking and why I thought it was going to have werewolves. And so I think maybe part of this could be that I just really did not set my expectations. And this is why I don't read synopses, because as you can see, when I set an expectation, we get in trouble. But it was good. I liked it fine. It just didn't stick out to me. After I got done reading it, I didn't think about it again. So just an even 3 stars. Next is On the Wings of Blood by Briar Boleyn. I think that this one, same thing, TikTok trap. I read a lot of romantasy over the summer, and this one just like was not super memorable for me. There was nothing in it that stood out or made it feel super different. I liked it. I enjoyed it while I was in it. It was a good time while I was there, but then when I was done, I just didn't think about it anymore. Next is The Everking by L.J. Andrews. I did like this one as well. I feel like you're going to hear that a lot in the 3 stars. I like these. These are just the ones I liked. I like this. I liked the undersea kind of setting that we had. I thought that that was interesting. I really liked the relationship between the 2 main characters. I did not feel like I was as connected to the characters as I wish I was. I knew about each of them, but I didn't feel like I knew them. And I think that that probably is why this one ended up being middle of the road for me. Next is The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Bridget Knightley. This one is in a vlog. I cannot remember which one, but I will link it below. And so if you want to see me talk about this in a vlog, I have more of my in-depth thoughts about this, but essentially same thing. I liked it. It didn't super stand out. And then the next thing I have rated as 3 stars is The Courting of Bristol Keats by Mary A. Pearson. I feel like this one is a little bit different because although I did rate this one 3 stars, and the reason why is because I feel like there were some plot holes that even though I was there for vibes alone, I was like, listen, this plot wise, I feel like this is not holding together. One of my least favorite things in books. So you will always see me rate something 3 stars or below if it has this specific issue. But one of the things I really dislike in books is when a romantasy book writes a magic system and then they don't follow the magic system in order to be able to make the love story work. I really just do not like that. Like if you are going to take the time to put together an entire magic system, if you're going to take the time to put it in a fantastical world, like that is your setting. The magic is a part of your setting. It's a part of your plot. It's a part of how you have this whole thing put together. It's part of the glue that holds everything together. And so if you're going to take the time to have world building, then I think that everybody should have to follow the rules. And I'm not talking about like chosen one trope. I'm talking about how like you have character A over here and they need to save character B. And so they get to kind of bend the rules of the magic so that character B can be saved. And then character B is going to have some interaction with character C. So they get to bend the magic a little bit so that they can have this interaction. I feel like at that point, why even have a magic system? Just write a regular romance novel. Those are good too. If you're not going to follow it, I don't know why it's there. And on top of that, I feel like it cheapens the creativity that goes into writing. Like what a challenge to look at this and say, oh, I want my female main character to save my male main character or vice versa. But the magic system doesn't allow for this. What can I do instead to write an interesting way around this versus just breaking through that wall by making them not have to follow the same magic system as everybody else? It just is not one of my favorite things. And so the plot didn't feel as solid to me as I wanted, but I really liked the idea of it and the story behind it. I felt like we were going in a direction I really liked. So when the next one comes out, which I think is a few days from now, I will pick it up. Also, this is definitely a series I'll be continuing, but the first one just felt a little disjointed as far as the magical world, like the fantasy piece of it from the romance piece. They felt like 2 separate pieces and they never both felt necessary at the same time. The next thing that I rated 3 stars is a short story that was a part of the Scared Sexy collection, and that is Space Vampire by Ruby Dixon. I liked it. It was good. It was a fun, cute little time. It was a short story. Like it gave what it needed to give and it gave only that. And so that was 3 stars for me. And then the last thing I rated 3 stars, to the surprise of everyone, to me, to my husband, to anybody who has like followed my reading for a while, I gave Mate by Ali Hazelwood 3 stars. The last vlog, the paranormal romance vlog that went up right before this, I talk in extreme depth about why that is. So if you want to know about that, then you can go to the video right before this one and I talk a lot about that, but I ended up giving that one 3 stars. And then 3.25 stars. And I know some people don't like 0.25, 0.75, but I really like to be precise in my rating when I can. And so I love a little 1/4 star or a little 1/2 star or a little 3/4 star in order to be able to say exactly how I felt about something. So 3.25. I went to Finders Keepers by Sarah Adler. I also did that one in a vlog. It was really, really good. Again, I really love a unique idea. And I feel like a treasure map in a contemporary romance that has no fantastical elements that led to real treasure in a small town is like a great kind of basis for a story. Again, this is another instance where I feel like we got a little bit of an under delivery for how big the premise of the story was. I felt like, oh, this is going to be really good. And I feel like we just kind of like filed down the edges in order to make it fit into a certain amount of pages. And that's fine. But I think that that's what caused it to be rated right in the middle. Then at 3.5 stars, we have The Night Prince by Lauren Pell Freeman. So this is the second one in the Wolf King. I don't know if it's gonna be a trilogy, but I know that there are 2 books out now and 1 book that's coming out. This one got rated a little higher because the ending was 5 stars for me. So the last like couple chapters felt like a different book to me, and it was so good. I was like, girl, if the whole book had been like this, the whole book would have been 5 stars. It was so good. So it was an okay book for like a 2.5 star middle of the road book for most of it for me. It was a story that you have definitely read before. It's a story that has definitely gone viral on TikTok before. It was something that no one felt shocked by in the least. And then the last little bit, she was like, okay, it's time, like game face on, twists and turns, here for it. And I feel like she turned a corner. And I was really excited about that. And so that one got 3.5. And then we're going to go to 3.75 stars, which first in that I rated Fiddleslinger by Rachel Schneider, 3.75 stars. This was really good. This was another kind of like sea related this over the summer and early fall that were like fantasies that took place in, on, around, underwater. And this is one of those that had that premise. And this one was so close to getting 4 stars because of the fact that, again, I feel like this premise was so interesting. And on top of that, the way that she did it was not a way that I've read before in a lot of fantasy novels. And so I really appreciated that. The only reason why I think this didn't score a little higher is because a lot of this book takes place during a journey from one place to another. And those are just not my favorite. Like, I like being grounded someplace. I like shorter travel scenes. I don't super love when we have 2 characters in a book and it's just the 2 of them on a journey alone for like 300 of the pages or whatever. That's probably an exaggeration. But I prefer having a more like lush and developed setting than like just a boat or just a car or just like a desert island where it's just the 2 love interests or, you know, whatever. And so for the scenes at the beginning of the book where we're not during the journey and the scenes at the end of the book where we're not during the journey, I loved those things. But the in between during the journey, which was a huge chunk of the book, just I was like, I'm ready. Are we there yet? Is kind of what I felt like. And so that's why this didn't score higher, but it still scored pretty decently high because I did like it a lot. Next at 3.75 is Made for Each Other by Lynn Painter. I did do a vlog on this one as well, so you can go back. I'll just link, basically, I'll link every vlog down in the description below that any of these are read during, and I'll try to put next to them, if you're looking for this specific book, this is the vlog it's in. Made for Each Other by Lynn Painter. Lynn Painter is one of my favorites. We talk about that a lot. I like pretty much everything she writes. I really loved the kind of billionaire theme surrounding this one. I love a billionaire romance. I love being able to suspend my disbelief and be in a place that is not close to my current reality. I like that there are not the same implications in a book for a billionaire. In a book, everybody could be a billionaire as there is in real life. So being able to be in a space where you can experience like the fun, lavish, whatever, without all of the societal repercussions that actual billionaires have is usually fun for me, which is why it pulled me out of the story a lot when she kept being like, but he's a billionaire. Like, I didn't want to be reminded over and over. I was not there for the ethical impact of billionaires. I do deal with that in my day-to-day life and have strong feelings about that in the real world. And so for a romance book, if this was a literary fiction book or even a romance book that was going to tackle that topic, then cool, I'm here for that also. But if you're trying to make it a light and fluffy romance, then continually saying there is an ethical issue with this is like not going to keep it light and fluffy. So I wish that it would have kind of picked a lane. But other than that, I loved this. I thought it was really, really good. And if you are watching this and you're a billionaire, that would be wild, right? If you were a billionaire and you're watching this, give away your money. Like, what could you possibly need where you need to keep all $1 billion+ dollars, feed the hungry, help house the houseless, like help people. You don't need $1 billion. Anyway, let's continue on. So at 3.75 stars also, and these are things that I really like. So I feel like 2 stars, I didn't really like. It wasn't for me. I feel like 2.5 stars, I didn't super have an opinion. I didn't super dislike it. I didn't super like it. It kind of fell right in the middle. 3 stars, I liked it fine. Like, it was good. I liked it fine. 3.5 stars, and that's same with 3.25. I liked it a little more, still on like the lower end of good. And then when we start getting to these 3.5, especially these 3.75s, I really liked it, but it had something going on that I could not like overlook. Going back and talking to you about the 3.75 star ratings, I'm like, I actually really liked that. So next we have Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Moss. This one also, I liked it a lot. I really loved the concept of this. I thought that it was super cool to have some of the Greek mythology retellings. I am not the most knowledgeable person about Greek mythology, so this, for somebody who is, this might have not hit for them at all, but I really liked it. Only reason why I don't think I rated it higher is because there were some pieces that felt a little bit lazy in between to me, where we would have a montage of like, I was so tired that every day seemed to go by in a blur. It wouldn't just be like a time skip. You would miss huge chunks of time with like her just being in a daze or whatever. And that felt lazy to me. Like, I wish we would have either done time skips, we would have written transitions, but it was like, instead of writing a transition, she was just like, blah, 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 like character name, backstory stuff, and then we just like moved on to the next thing. But other than that, I really liked it. That one also has a sequel coming out this month, and I will definitely be reading that as well. And then we have Roll for Romance by Lenora Woods. This one was also 3.75 stars. This was so cute. I thought it was so cute, so fun. I love a D&D backdrop, and yeah, I thought it was good. I think that there could have been a little more seamlessness between us hearing the story of what was happening in the D&D campaign versus us hearing the actual love story happening in the book. But other than that, I feel like it was really good. And then also at 3.75 stars, What Happens in Amsterdam by Rachel Lynn Solomon. This one is definitely in a vlog. This is in my 24-hour reading vlog, so like 2 videos ago. And it was fun and cute, and I liked it. And I talk about that one more in depth in that video. The last one that we have at 3.75 stars is Arcana Academy by Elise Kova. I really liked this. This was really good. LT has started reading it as well, and he's really liking it. I think that it could have gotten that last 1.25 stars or 1 more star at least if it wasn't such a confusing magic system. I followed it, like it was okay, but it's a tarot card magic system, and that's part of the reason why it's rated so high, is that I thought it was a really fun imagining of tarot cards and how they could work and all of those things, and I liked the mechanics of it a lot. However, there are so many cards, and so remembering in between each scene what each thing was supposed to do pulled you out of the story, especially during like battle scenes and things like that, because you're like trying to remember, okay, she pulled the 2 of Cups, she pulled the like whatever, 1 of Swords, she pulled the insert thing here, and you're trying to remember what that does and how it's going to impact the fight, and like, so it makes it harder to stay as in it. So how many tarot cards there were that were represented in the magic system made it just hard enough to follow that it pulled me out of the story, and so that's probably why it didn't get the last little bit. Now we're going to talk about the last few things. I have quite a few actually in 4 stars, and then 1 in 4.25, and then we're going to talk about my 5-star reads, and I'm so excited about this. You don't even understand. These are all the things I really, really like this summer. So in 4 stars, we have Hot for Slayer by Ali Hazelwood. In my last vlog, we talked about how much I liked Hot for Slayer. I loved the premise behind this. I'm so sad that this wasn't a full-length novel, that it was just a short story, but it was so good for what she did with it. You can again see more details on that in the video before this one. And then also at 4 stars, we have Falling by Christina Lauren. That's also from the Scared Sexy collection. Very, very good. These short stories are ones that I really wish we would have seen as full-length novels, because they were so, so good to me. And then I feel like the next 2 to no one's surprise. So everybody loved this book. Next is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. I really liked it. Although it didn't feel particularly like new and innovative and things that we had never read before, it was all of my favorite things about romantic fantasy. Like all of my favorite things were included, and they were executed well, and it made me excited to read the next book. I have even considered going back and reading Kingfisher's point of view because I liked it so much. It was so, so good to me, and I cannot wait for the next one, Brimstone, that's also coming out this month. And then next, to the surprise of absolutely no one, is Fan Service by Rosie Dana, and I rated it 4 stars. I've talked about that, I think, in every video posted from my summer OMR to now. It's a werewolf book. It's a paranormal romance. It was lots of fun. It was hilarious. I loved the yearning. I loved the character's werewolf nature kind of bypassed some of the things that you would go through in a regular relationship, and things that you might normally find weird, I guess, if like a person were to just say this to you. I feel like it allowed him to be so authentic with her for like how he was feeling and what he needed and what he wanted and all of those things. I think that when you just see like a male main character really want a female main character so badly, and not just like in an intimate way, but also to protect her and to be by her side and to hype her up to do all the things that she's good at and wants to do and all of that. Like, I really, really love that. And I think on top of this, I really liked the dynamic switch that we had happen. So at the beginning of the book, she's a huge fan of him and he doesn't know who she is. When the story starts to pick up, he really needs her, and like he becomes a really big fan of her, and you see the dynamic switch, and all of that was delicious, like so good to me. After that, I have Soul Searching by Lila Sage. You can also see that one in the video before this one. It's good. I liked it. You can watch that video for more details. Next is My Boyfriends Are All Monsters by Kimberly Lemming. This one, also 4 stars. This was also a part of the Scared Sexy collection. It was a short story. I haven't read anything else by her, but you better believe that I'm about to take a weekend and grab her backlist and sit down and read all the stuff that she's written because she is so funny, and I love the down-to-earth, like true voice sounding writing style that she has, to where you really do forget you're reading a book, even though it's paranormal. So it's like, how are you forgetting that you're reading a book? But it's so good. So I cannot wait to read more by her. And then last, and I feel like potentially controversially, I rated Silver Elite by Danny Francis 4 stars. I feel like people were really torn on this one. They loved it or they hated it. And I felt very similarly about this one as I did about Quicksilver, where I feel like it just took a lot of tropes and things that we have seen before and did it in a way that felt fun to follow. The more that you go into it book report style, breaking down all the pieces of it, I don't know that it would hold together. So I'm not saying like go into this and be like, oh, like Shay says, this is good writing. No. This gave me like, not Zodiac Academy vibes specifically, but kind of the vibes of something that is like just like junk food. Like it tastes good, it's fun, whatever, but it's not gonna provide a whole lot of nutritional value. But I had a 4-star good time while reading it. And then at 4.25 stars, we have Warrior Princess Assassin by Bridget Kemmerer. I feel like every time I say her name, I have the wrong number of MMs, like Kemmerer. Just like cannot work that out. It's wild that you're here to hear about my reading and you are now seeing I cannot read. I loved this. I went into this like I do most things 100% blind. I had no idea what to expect. So as I saw what was actually happening unfold, I was shocked and in awe. And I did in fact, I felt like it was a very believable story. I thought that each character's individual storyline of like what they were going through, learning, healing from was interesting on their own, and then where they intersected I thought was also really great. This was such a fun read for me, and I haven't read anything by her since A Curse So Dark and Lonely, so I was so pleasantly surprised by how much I loved this, but this was so good to me. And now we have my 5 most recent 5-star reads, what I am most excited for. These are things that just I really, really loved and have continued to think about. First, my favorite romance of the year. I say this and then I looked at the book that's right after that. One of my top 2 romances of the year and my favorite fall romance I have read ever was If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. I don't know if this is because I'm a 90s kid and it felt so deeply nostalgic for me. Like every little piece of it felt so like just quintessential 90s. And I loved being back in that spot because I feel like when you're a kid, seasons pack more of a punch because you're in school. And so you're doing a lot of fall themed things during fall. You're doing winter themed things during winter and et cetera, et cetera. And so I feel like this took me back to when fall was the most pungent in my life. And I love fall. I was born in the fall. It is my favorite season. I am not somebody who decorates for Christmas at the beginning of November. I literally try to squeeze every ounce of fall that I can out of the season before moving on into the Christmas season. Like I truly am a fall lover, and I feel like this highlighted all of my favorite things about fall. I felt like it had believable characters and a believable romance. I loved the personification of the dog. That was so good. There were so many pieces that just all fell into place for me. And so if you like in the month of November, if you're a romance girly, if you're a fall girly, please pick this up. It was so good. Next, and this is in an entirely different category. I didn't categorize this as a romance, which is why I didn't think about it being like my favorite romance of the year, but I did love the romance in this book. One of my top reads of the year so far, and just so good, is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. It was incredible. If you haven't read Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, please read it. It was nothing I was expecting. I went in blind. I had no idea who it was about, what it was about, where it was set, like any of those things. And it consistently blew my mind over and over and over again. I love when somebody can take something that they're interested in or something that they're passionate about, write a book about it, and me know nothing about it. And by the end of the book, have me feeling interested and passionate about that same thing. Like, I think that this was so well done. And I was so shocked by that because I feel like most people are Seven Husbands fans or most people are Daisy Jones fans. And both of those books, I thought they were written really well, but neither one of them was my cup of tea. Like I didn't really love either one of them, but this was everything I wanted and more. It was so good. The ending of this book, when I tell you, sometimes I stare at a wall and still think about how this book ended. I don't think I've ever cried through the end of a book as hard as I cried about this. I was so shocked, mouth hanging open. Like this is one of those books that's so good that you cannot hold your reactions inside of yourself. Like if you were sitting in an airport reading this or in a train station or a restaurant or whatever, everyone around you is going to be like, what are you reading? Because it's all over your face. I loved this, if you can't tell. 5 stars easily. Next on this list is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. So good. It's so good, y'all. It's so good. It again takes all of the ingredients that I love in a romantic fantasy and then has a really lush and beautiful magic system that ties into the world around. Like, the world building was beautiful. I loved the magic system. I loved the main characters. I loved their relationship. I loved the female main character getting to know herself. Like, I think like the journey of just self-discovery, we take it for granted so much that I feel like sometimes you see kind of the chosen one trope in fantasy and the person is chosen and then they just like go with it. Like, okay, I'm chosen and I'm going to do everything I can in order to beat the villain or, whatever the case may be. And I think that if you think about right now, if you became the chosen one, like if in your life right at this moment, it turned out to be something where you were the only person that could save a group of people or whatever, how would you react to that? The pressure of that, the weight of that, all of that, like, especially if it's causing you to have loss, especially if it's causing you to have loss of things and people and locations and things like that you really love. Like, would you just be like, oh, sure, you can take away my whole family and everything I love around me and I'm going to be totally cool with like then going on to save the world or whatever. Like, you wouldn't say that or you wouldn't do that. And this felt so deeply authentic to me for being a fantasy. And I just loved this. So I think that this is another one that can kind of be intimidating because it has like a little glossary at the back or whatever. But I feel like in the same way that Arcana Academy that we talked about earlier had a glossary in the back and I felt overwhelmed by it and the magic system felt kind of overwhelming, this has that, but did not have the same level of overwhelm for me. It just all came together seamlessly and beautifully and I love this. If everybody will do me a favor and go to Olivia Reads Lattes channel right now and tell her that she needs to read this, like make her read it for me. Thank you so much, everyone. These 5-star reads are not in order of how much I like them, by the way. But next is Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. I was shocked that this was her first fantasy romance. It's her first fantasy romance, not her first romance. She has other romance books out. I had read something else by her, maybe Coach or something like that, and it was good, but I have no memory of it whatsoever. Like, I couldn't tell you a character's name. I could not tell you a plot line. I couldn't tell you anything. I read it and then forgot it, which means I probably rated it 3 stars or less. I loved this. I loved the journey of this. Again, this is another one that took all of the ingredients that I love about fantasy and romance and let me live in that world for a while. And that makes me really happy. And so I was happy reading this all the way through. And then last but not least, a book that I have not stopped talking about to all my friends and family. When I tell you, so Olivia messaged me and was like, girl, you have got to pick this up. This is so good. And I was like, say no more. I'm on my way. This is, I think, probably the only thing that we have close to agreed upon all year. And that is Direbound by Sable Sorensen. So good. I loved everything about this. I loved following our characters. I loved our world. I loved the school setting. I loved the town setting. I loved just all of the pieces. I am dying to know what happens next. And those are all ingredients that make like a really good fantasy romance to me. So this is one of my favorites that I read this year for sure. And that's everything. Thank you so much for watching and sticking around, even though I feel like I described books using the same few words over and over again. So I'm going to work on, as a reader, my vocabulary so I can better communicate to you about each of these books. But thank you so much for hanging out until the end. If you stayed until the end, will you leave your favorite read of the year so far in the comments down below? If you don't know your favorite read of the year so far, will you leave a 5-star read that you had this year in the comments down below? And maybe I will use those for a future video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It's been a blast. I will see you in the next one. Bye.